Well, there's only one way to find out, Joe. I 100% support Angry Joe. Now, let's see how my ratio works. Might be one of my highest dislike ratios yet. Let's find out. So, the nexus of this disagreement, and that's all this really is. And to be honest, I had let it go. This morning, I put out a poll and asked people, hey, what do you want me to cover for the day? And there were 4 topics. One was the Angry Joe situation, which I'm going to bring you up to speed on if you don't know what's going on. One was Overwatch. One was Red Dead Redemption 2 as a PC exclusive. And the other was pay to win stuff in Fallout 76. Overwhelmingly, my crowd wanted to see the Angry Joe video. I chose not to do that. In fact, I covered the Overwatch banning the OK sign. So if you missed that video, you'll definitely want to check it out. I'll leave it linked in the pinned comment below. It's a little more lighthearted, mimetic, meme-worthy. But then Joe chimed in after I'd already published the video and after I'd moved on. I was at the dog park and said, you're going to do a video on how from time to time I call Trump out on my personal Twitter account. That's cool. I wish I could do one on my YouTube, but I've learned from you to keep it off there. So do it for me. Please make sure to research if Trump lied about 91 billion and how I got reported. To which I replied, actually, I did an Overwatch video. To which he replied, shoot, was hoping I'd get you to call out Trump's tweeted inaccuracy and how it's totally cool to call out the president when he lies and pits people against each other. Oh, well, maybe next time. Literally, I am a bear that reacts to being poked. This is well known. I think Joe is probably the same way. So then I replied, okay, video back on. To which he replies, okay, it'll get views for you for sure. A bunch of Joe hate from your peeps towards me. I just hate that it won't change anyone's mind. Dude can straight up lie and no one cares. The core issue, can Joe call out a Trump lie on his personal Twitter from time to time? The answer is yes. Again, this is a straw man, Joe, though. I never said you couldn't call him out. And I think that you have, in my opinion, a very, very poor view of anyone who voted for Trump or supports Donald Trump. I choose not to categorize everyone in one giant bucket. As somebody who I've only voted 3 times, and twice, 2 of those times was for Obama. I absolutely did not fully endorse everything Obama did. There were many things he did as a president that I, in fact, did vote for, that I disliked. I just didn't scream about it online. I think it divides your fandom. So where did this all start? Well, it started with a retweet from Joe retweeting the Donald Trump, who said Puerto Rico got 91 billion for the hurricane, more and more money than ever has gotten from a hurricane before, blah, 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 blah. Joe said, Puerto Rico has not actually received 91 billion, you effing idiot. That's a total estimated damages number. They got 11 billion. How the F did this guy ever been gotten the presidency? And stop pitting our farmers against Puerto Ricans. We are all Americans. WTF. A fair statement, very, very emotionally charged, as Joe himself is Puerto Rican. He made sure to point out that my fans keep calling him Mexican. Joe's biggest problem is he's emotional and he tends to generalize. A thing that we're probably all guilty of from time to time. And this was the original tweet. Subsequently, the tweet I had some umbrage with said, nice try, Trump crybabies and sycophants. Triggered when I called your god emperor an effing idiot? Well, guess what? Trump is an effing idiot. Deal with it. Knew this would happen, by the way. That's how fragile some of his supporters can be. Now, Joe has no way of knowing who reported this tweet. In fact, if you go by the statistical evidence shared by Jack of Twitter himself, the left far outweighs the reports on Twitter than the right. Now, again, top reply, remember when Joe talked about video games. Now, Joe's point in response to criticism about this, I think, is fair. And Joe, you probably won't watch this, but I never said you shouldn't have a take, and we're about to see exactly what I said. I think, you know, this is the type of response that gets people posting your election night hot take that the overwhelming majority of people that voted for Trump were low IQ. I mean, that is a literal thing you said. So there is a portfolio of hot takes that you've had over the years about Trump supporters, and this video is absolutely not in support of Trump. That number that he tweeted out was, as far as I can tell, incorrect, but Trump tweets inaccuracies all the time. I think one of the problems you have is you look at Trump supporters or people that voted for Trump as a monolith. Like they all blindly support everything he does, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Most people that are active in following what's going on in politics and educated voters follow what their candidate does, and they don't agree with everything that they support. I don't know if you would have been a Hillary supporter or a Bernie supporter or whatever, but I think privately, you would admit to me that, of course, you don't agree with everything. I mean, do you agree with 70% tax from Bernie Sanders? I mean, you know, look at your YouTube revenue and ask if you want to give 70% of that to the U.S. government, a government that you so strongly dislike. The point is, you can't view everybody as a monolith. And I get that you were born in Puerto Rico and this is kind of close to you, but also allow me to edify you that Puerto Rico has one of the worst corrupt governments that we've seen outside of maybe Chicago. Puerto Rico has way more problems than Trump misquoting a number on Twitter. Now, to people who may be blindly supporting Joe in case he retweets this and they're just blindly disliking the video, I would ask that you try to listen to my take here and understand that what the purpose of this video is to not roast Joe. It's to try and bring our fandoms together. Joe and I will be fine. Whether or not Joe cares to interact with me ever again, I'll live. I'm sure he'd tell you the exact same thing. Okay? We'll both be fine. What I don't want is our fandoms kind of going at it. And that's what these tweets do. Because yes, in an echo chamber, as Joe has pointed out, he says he follows people he disagrees with because he doesn't like echo chambers. You don't have a problem. But what happens is when somebody calls you out, and I was probably a little too condescending here, but Joe probably reacted because of all the legs that the tweet got. I replied to his tweet talking about Trump crybabies and sycophants by saying simply this: Joe, I love you, buddy. Your content is great. Political hot takes are not why I follow you, though. Why willingly alienate a portion of your audience? I just will never get that. Trump is everyone's president, like it or not, but fortunately, we all get another chance in 2020. I felt like extremely mild take. Now, perhaps I struck a nerve because it was then replied, that blows my mind that you get your Trump fanboys who follow you riled up on something that dude is factually wrong on. Again, I never said Joe couldn't tweet this or should be censored. I just said I don't get it. Look at your replies here. Y'all would rather ignore facts. Just ask people you follow on Twitter to not talk about him simply because you don't want to hear his stupidity. Again, this is Joe's horrendous view on people who voted for Trump coming through. He doesn't know why people don't want to see politics. I would say that most people that follow pundits here in the gaming community or anywhere else are 100% not interested in what we think about politics. They would follow news sites if that's what they wanted. But again, I don't understand where the anger. You could see even another, it was bothering him so much that he replied again. With respect, I don't give a F what you follow me for. My Twitter is an opinion on various things I care about, always has been. If somebody is alienated by facts, F them. Tired of you blindly chiming in for anything Trump related, even if the dude is straight up lying. Now, this is a provable lie. I retweet Joe all the time. I retweeted his video just the other day about BioWare. And we interact all the time. So again, Joe's emotion here, he has a real problem with how he views Trump supporters. Again, it's not a monolith. Not everyone is the caricature mega hat dude posting Pepe memes. It's a wide variety of different kind of people. I mean, imagine going through life and just hating half of the country. I don't understand this. And I think deep down, could you imagine trying to be Joe's friend if you had voted for Trump, when you see how he talks about people who did vote for Trump, how angry he gets? It's uncomfortable. It's alienating. And it's also 100% Joe's right to say the things he wants to say. Again, I'll reply, this statement is not respectful. You're right. It's your Twitter. The fact that you would assume I, quote, blindly chiming in tells me everything I need to know. I'll take the high road here and not get sucked into something that is very clearly emotional for you. Be well. Now, I probably didn't take the high road because I continued to fan the flames here and there. I'm having fun with it. It got a little weird when I could see that Joe was so emotionally tied to it. But at no point did he say, like, yo, I'm Puerto Rican. This is especially close to home for me. I'm supposed to just know that. 100 tweets later, he says that. But again, I never said Joe couldn't say what he wants to say. I simply said, I don't understand why people do this. Now, Joe's channel is doing fine and will continue to do fine. But the more he brings out this side of himself, the more people will continue to post how he called all Trump supporters idiots, or the vast majority of them, or something like that. And it's just not a healthy outlook, I don't think. I mean, many of my friends voted for Bernie Sanders. Many of my friends voted for Hillary Clinton. Many of my friends voted for Donald Trump. Guess what? I don't care. That's their personal politics. That is their right. It is not for me to unfriend them in real life. I don't think that's healthy. I think that's what the media wants. They profit on division. That's why the tone of this video is not to attack Joe. And not to attack Joe's fans. Joe has accused me of, sending hate his way. I would never do that for him. His fans have a mind of their own. And believe me, they said some pretty horrible things to me. But again, it doesn't bother me because I know it's not true. But he'll say, okay, bro, please don't be so sensitive. I didn't think you would be into censoring others on Twitter, but here you are. You want me to keep quiet about my opinion on Trump, even if it affects me and my family. All because you're worried people will get offended by my opinion? Nah, I'm good. You know what? You're right, Joe. You are absolutely right. You have every right to have the opinions that you have. And to share them on Twitter. I've never said that you don't have that right. What I've said is, look at all this now because of that one tweet. I'd be willing to bet that we share 50,000 fans, 100,000. I mean, Joe's channel is significantly larger than mine, so I'd be willing to bet that, obviously, he has more viewers from my channel than vice versa. But I don't want to divide the fans. That's at the core, and this is why this is a video and not a tweet, is because I can't, clearly, I'm not good enough at using 144 characters or 200 characters or whatever, at trying to describe what my feelings are, to try and explain to people that are severely emotionally attached to things, something that is not healthy. And that's not just Joe. Just look at the replies. So much hate going back and forth. Like, can we just chill out? I don't want my subscribers to go and dump on Joe. And you know what? If Joe's subscribers do that to me, don't even bother. I can handle it. I mean, I'm not exactly getting hit with really hot takes, calling somebody alt-right or bad for gaming or whatever. These are people that don't watch my videos anyway, because if you did, you'd know the truth about me. My point is, again, like Dark Fleece says, Joe, a decent chunk of Jeremy's audience is your audience, as well as Jeremy has come out in support of people on certain topics where he otherwise disagrees with everything else they had to do a handful of times in the past. So long as his principles are consistent, it won't harm him. Again, I have, and Joe, if you watch this, you know that I've come to you behind the scenes and offered to help mobilize people when you were getting false copyright flagged. I've always supported your mission here on YouTube. I back you 150% as a creator. Just because we disagree in a public manner, and it probably isn't responsible of either one of us to have this conversation publicly. But I don't like dividing the community. And I've said this to Joe too before. He would tell you, he would agree. Well, if he was being honest, I'm sure he would be, that I have specifically DM'd him when he attacks his fans, or when he gets mad about what his fans are doing. If they don't like a video he does, I'll like DM him privately and say, yo, dude, relax. Don't attack your fans. It's not a good look. And I would hope that that helps him in some way. And it's just an interesting, I think it's an important takeaway here that between Joe and I, okay, again, after everything, his final tweet, I don't know, maybe he's still tweeting, but says, I consider you a homie, so I didn't think it would bother you that much. It didn't bother me. I think that you wear your heart on your sleeve, and sometimes I do that too. But as creators, especially in the video game space, I would hope that we, Joe and Jeremy, could serve to bring people, set an example for two people that disagree on something and don't want our fans to go to war all the time, that realize that we can exist in the same space and have different political opinions. I follow a variety of people on Twitter because I like to take in a lot of different opinions. I also think, Joe, you really don't know about my personal politics. I think you have an incorrect vision of what I think, and I think that comes with when you are outspoken against identity politics. There is this backlash from people who support identity politics to assume to call you alt-right, to call you a drumfer, to call you a chud, whatever that means, to call you, incel, because they don't really know how to handle it. I'm not saying this about Joe. I'm saying this about why I don't like this. This is all because of that one tweet. One tweet, Joe. This is why I don't like this shit. And you're right. 0.005% of your tweets are about politics, and you have every right. If 100% of your tweets are about politics, you know what? To be honest, you'd fit in more in the gaming community probably. But I'm hoping that this situation will serve as an example to the viewers that we share that, look, it's nothing personal. I don't want people to mass unsubscribe from Angry Joe. I'm not trying to pwn him. But if you're going to make assumptions about people's politics, then you should probably research them or ask them directly. just because someone speaks out against identity politics or they're, quote, anti-SJW, if that's even a term people use anymore, doesn't automatically mean they're a far-right conservative. I would absolutely still consider myself a liberal. I've done political compass tests on stream where I'm one dot to the left or one dot to the right. So officially, I'm probably more of a centrist. And I try to approach things where, like, hey, if you're an old school conservative Bible thumper, I hope you watch my videos. If you're a new school progressive, blue hair, nose ring, I hope you watch my videos too. And I hope you both disagree with me on different takes that I have. And I welcome that. But I think that it's important that we look at everything that transpired over the last 48 hours and try to take something positive from it. And I support Joe Vargas. I understand why he is emotional. It doesn't change that I don't like when people that I follow put out really tone-deaf tweets like that, really emotional tweets. There are definitely hundreds of thousands of people that watch Angry Joe that voted for Trump that are not idiots. There are lots of people that voted for Trump that don't agree with everything the man says. And the same thing with Obama, the same thing with literally every president ever. The overwhelming majority of people are somewhere in the middle, and that's where I consider myself. I try to not view everybody who voted a certain way as a monolith. Now, can I fall victim to that from time to time? Maybe. I don't think I've ever really done it about how people vote because I know people vote on a variety of different issues. I mean, there are people that vote Republican simply for their religion, and that's fine. There are people that vote Democrat simply because their beliefs on unions. That's fine too. I think people should expand the reasons they vote a certain way. People should not be a single or a two-issue voter, although they are, and maybe that will never change. But I hope that if you're one of Angry Joe's followers on Twitter who's really butthurt and think that you're doing good by defending Joe by saying vitriolic things to me, you're not. And you're not helping Joe because this video could have easily been a greatest hits of all the dumb shit Joe has ever said. Okay? And there's greatest hits of all the dumb shit I've ever said too. I'm just saying, you're not helping him. And if you're a subscriber or viewer of me and you're engaging with that, I would ask that you just ignore it. Because if people are coming in and saying, personally attacking me because they think they're defending Joe, I don't think Joe would support that either. I don't support my followers doing it either. If you want to question somebody's take or you want to, argue a point, I support that. But I also understand that my viewers are adults, or many of them, right? They can make up their own minds. I am not in control of them. I'm not telling anyone to attack Joe. I want us to be together. I want Joe and I to be able to disagree. And I think I have a responsibility to call stuff out. But this is one case where I probably could have just DM'd him and be like, yo, this kind of makes you look a little unhinged. And Joe, I would hope that, if he does really consider me a bro, I mean, my friends would never talk to me like that. And they would get 5 across the eyes. I mean, you come in at 100 miles an hour when responding to what I think is a very respectful treat. Maybe it came across condescending. That wasn't my intent. But, if we were friends and you talk like this to me in real life, we wouldn't be friends. And I think if you look back at the degree of anger, the degree of vitriol that you met, what I thought was a very common criticism. This didn't have to turn into liberals versus conservatives because I don't consider myself really identifying with either one of those parties. But as gamers, I hope that we can learn to, realize that, Joe and I will probably be fine, whether he says so or not, or whether that's the case or not. I don't hold any harsh feelings against him, and I don't hold any harsh feelings against his fans. In fact, probably some of them, even in our argument, came over and checked out some of my videos. I'm still going to call out BS, but it isn't my intent to divide people. I was just, as somebody who really respects Joe and the work and the business that he's built, I was disappointed, I guess is the word I could say. But, I mean, well, what am I, an SJW, going to tell him to be better? The lesson here, and I hope that you'll take this away, is that two people can disagree, and it doesn't have to be a war. I hope that you take that into mind, and I'm willing to accept whatever like and dislike ratio that comes from this. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.